And good evening. I'd like to welcome you to once again here on County Fair. I'm Jason Grisgoric, Waycross Community Media's Government Access Coordinator. Joining us here tonight on January 28th, 2013. I am very fortunate to have here at the round table my dear friend and yours, County Recorder Wayne Coates. Wayne, glad you can join us this year.
Always a pleasure, Jason.
Of course, the interesting thing is, of course, you have won your election. That's why you're here. It's not a goodbye speech or anything. We've had people come in and we've had to say goodbye, but we're back for another term.
Yeah.
And thankfully so.
It's not a swan song.
We're going to talk all about how you came about through this campaign, what's going on, what we're looking for in the next 4 years, and everything here on County Fair. But of course, the important part is getting you involved. It's 2013, it's a brand new year. Why don't you make yourself useful and make a new resolution and become a part of the program tonight? 825-3971, that's our phone number here. live@waycross.org is our email. Be a part. Ask your questions. Don't be afraid. It's okay. We don't bite. It's true. Everything's okay. So Wayne, again, another term has come upon you.
Yep.
We were here when we did the community forum, and we did everything here and got the forum out there. Those last 2 months up to November, how did you feel? Nervous, scared? I mean, you've done this many times before in many different capacities.
Well, you never take it for granted. We work all the way to the end. It's kind of interesting when you know you're being outspent and outgunned and your bill's been rung a lot. But I think that when we look at what we've done as recorder and what we've done for the office and for the county, I think that the voters seen through a lot of the stuff. And, I think that they've already known me and they were comfortable, and so they reelected me.
And rightfully so, because here we are again tonight discussing everything that your office does. How would you compare this term going in to last 4 years, where we were 4 years ago?
Well, both first months was pretty difficult. In 2009, the first 15 minutes in the door, I had to let 3 people go, which were the what we call unclassified, and they were all administrators. And of course, during the course of the month, I had to let 8 more people go. Because it was not funded. We had to cut over $350,000. And in the course of the year, we had to cut another $158,000. So that's $500,000 the first year.
Alone, yeah, just to start.
Yeah, and of course we had the county commissioners in the budget office did not give us any money for what I call separation cost. For firing people, nor the unemployment insurance that we would also have to pay. So, again, we had to go a little deeper than I wanted, and it was problematic. We dropped down down to about 26 employees from 39 when I walked in the door, but my predecessor had 41.
Right, and then again, when you first came in that first term, I mean, you had to slash in half right away.
Right. Well, this term we had to again start. Slashing again because the county cut us again. This time, we were looking at a situation starting back in the summer. They looked at cutting us another $400,000. Now, we've went from 2.2 in 2008 to last year in 2012, where we had a budget of 1.4. So already we had cut $800,000 out of the budget, and I was down to about 21 employees over the course of the 4 years.
Over the 4 years, yeah.
Because again, we've went down, $800,000, and so they wanted to take another $400,000. I didn't have another 11 people to go as I did the first year, so we were in a very precarious situation, and we were going to have to close 1 day a week, and also I was losing another 6 employees just to cut the $400,000. When we posted that we were going to the 4-day week, the industry, where the mortgage bankers, title companies, real estate, and banks, and realtors, they were all up in arms, and because people come in to research for closings on that Friday, and we were going to be closed on Friday, so the commissioners, they reinstated enough money where we were able to stay open on Friday, and I would only lose 3 employees.
And it's very interesting that you say that it was big in the industry, because if you looked at it, it was a very small blurb that either came across the bottom of the screen, or it was just shortly mentioned that you would be cutting hours. And, well, as...
I don't hold news conferences and tell people.
I don't understand why not.
Well, what we do is we posted it,
Mm-hmm.
and we send it out to the media. As you know, whatever the news desk wants to do, that's what happens.
Exactly.
But again, it was very problematic because uniquely to the industry, or I should say to the county, this 2013, actually the pay period starts in December.
Okay, so
And
you had to get everything.
It had been the first Friday, which had been the 21st. So on the 19th, I believe it was Wednesday the 19th, the commissioners had a public meeting that they normally do on the week.
Yes.
And they had about an hour and a half of boisterous individuals telling them that they need to reinstate the money. So fortunately for us that the commissioners came through and reinstated the money.
Obviously,
At least 200,000.
At least 200,000. But that's something that you have to make that decision on, which probably wasn't an easy decision. I'm sure, again, with your knowledge going into it, knowing that you were probably going to experience some backlash, were you expecting this much? And to be able to come back and say, yes, we're going to be able to regain what we were going to lose?
Well, really, the commissioners, they're the ones that set the budget,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to live by that budget. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we start back in the summer, and they give me a number, and they say, here's your number. If we do that, then they ask for what they call an impact statement. And we said, okay, if you do this to us, this is what's going to occur. So it's nothing that they did not already know. And again, after you've already went from 39 employees down to 21, mm-hmm. And you've cut $800,000 out of your budget, there's only so much more you can do. And again, we have statutory requirements that we have to be open. And we have to do certain things, such as we have to have research, an area for research, so people come in under 149.45, the open records. Mm-hmm. We have to be able to take intake of the documents that are being recorded, and we have a mandate that we have to have everything filed and recorded by noon the next day. And also, we have to have a copy department, so if somebody wants to come in and make a copy and have public access to that, we had to have that. So we came down to the things that we have to have and we must do. And after that, you only can do it on 4 days.
Well, it sounds like, dare I say, you're cutting on pretty much a bare minimum at this point, but you're making ends meet in every cost. I'm not saying that you've cut so much that it has ruined your service. You've cut it to the point where you know this is the way the ship's going to run.
Well, back during the campaign, my opponent had a little commercial where he was ringing a bell because we do not do intake during lunch, because under Section 124 of the Ohio Revised Code, people get lunch. And when you go from 39 to 21 employees, they get lunch. Yeah. And there's only so much rotation you have.
Exactly.
And if you only have a couple of cashiers, they can only do that job. You're not going to have somebody that's inexperienced taking care of your money, mm-hmm. which I have a fiscal responsibility, and I have an auditor come in and review my stuff every year, and we do dailies. So again, you have to do the right things and run it with the statutory requirements.
Of course, that's just one way in which you're trying to work towards to make things a little bit easier. The idea of the consolidation. It's interesting that you brought that up, because I never thought of it. That the office is right next door.
Right.
To me, it's been there, so I never really thought of it any way different.
Right.
But at the same time, I never thought that anyone else didn't have a problem. You're looking out on the east side, and they have to come downtown.
Right. Right. And it's a lot of what our staff does. It's interesting. So it's not just titles mm-hmm. at that office, but they're also doing passports. You're starting to see that a bit more. I noticed that too. And right now, at this time of year, that's crazy busy. And I think sometimes the post office, you can get your passport at the post office, but the post office says, "Oh, why don't you just go up to that title? Go up to that title agency up there in Forest Park," and. Anyway, and I think sometimes at the post office you have to have appointments You do not have to have an appointment to come into our office over here in Forest Park or downtown to get your passport processed. Great staff at both of those places. A lot of what they do are new titles. So, for example, CarMax, which is very near here. We have one woman who solely does CarMax titles. Like, it just takes. It's just very time consuming.
It sounds like an arduous process for her to
so,
go through.
So she's going through, processing titles for really almost just one car agency. Yeah.
We are a car industry area,
Right.
So it
right.
makes sense.
Right.
Well, one of the other things that I was reading and I'm kind of interested in is there has been mentioned, and you can fill me in a little bit and fill those in there as well, about a new policy you'd like to state that states if agencies own money, they cannot do business in the county until their debts are paid.
Right, and that really goes back to what we had talked about before was the outstanding bond debt.
Yes.
And so those are bond agents that, and so now they got the message. This was probably about, I think probably about a year. It'll be a year in April when we instituted that policy. And the bond agents got the message. So what we had done over the past several months is to go ahead and collect that outstanding bond debt. And I said at the beginning of the program that we are finished. We have collected all of the outstanding bond debt. And what we told those bond agents is, if you owe us money, you cannot do business in the county. All of them paid up with the exception of 3, and then almost within a couple of months we had 2 that paid up, and one just said, "Oh, no, I'm deciding to go out of business. I refuse to do that." So,
wanted to go out of business.
It chose to go out of business, which is fine with me. We do not. The county does not need to be, Anyway, we need to go out after the money that is owed.
Sure.
That is owed to us. You said you would pay it. Give it to us now.
Right.
And so now we will never run into the problem again, where we will be millions of dollars owed us, from decades past. People now pay as they go. Seems like a much better solution, doesn't it?
Well, it seems, Cheryl, I say common sense.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is here it is again, another piece of I don't want to call it legislation, but another piece of your work that once you put teeth to it and gave them something,
right.
It actually made it happen.
Right.
And again, these are things that were, as you were saying, years past, and we're actually rolling forward to where you're caught up and you don't have to worry about this. And obviously I'm sensing from our conversation now that you don't have a fear that this is going to lapse 3 years, 5 years, and the bonds are going to go back and you're going to be trying to hunt for this money again.
Right. I can't imagine that any of the bond agents now would question my sincerity in collecting those debts. So we're hey, I'm a really nice person, but you do what's right, and if you say that you're going to pay us money, you pay up. So that's kind of where I am with it, and I think we've done a great job in instituting that policy. It's just a policy, just saying, it's just really simple. Give us the money you owe us, or don't do business.
Well, did people really want to call your bluff on it? To be honest, here's something that's just being instituted. It's a policy that we're putting into practice. And when you hear someone say, "Well, you can't do business here,"
well, maybe the one fellow who decided to go out of business, maybe he was calling my bluff, but
that could be. But I don't think it worked in his favor.
No, it absolutely did not. So,
a very interesting comment. Of course, they have a shuttle going back and forth. What a great way for people to at least see what's going on if they've never been to our city.
Right.
Come in, go through it is Cincinnati, not the full Hamilton County, but at least get you downtown. I know that is the proposal for another transportation means, but I'm also saying this is something that was a little less expensive,
Right.
is a part of something that's now growing, could quite possibly help out the county in some form, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, any new revenue coming in, any new type of sales tax helps out our general fund.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, and I think by the casino coming in and bringing folks into the area, it's just going to drive up more business and bring in more of those sales tax receipts for Hamilton County.
So we're I would assume we're pretty well done with construction around and near the casino. Anything else at this point is now going to be external,
Right.
anything around it.
Correct.
And from your estimate, do you really foresee even more build-up? What's going to go on out there? As long as you were talking about cutting the red tape.
Right.
This
right.
is it here.
Yeah. No, and I do believe that from what I'm seeing of these new businesses moving in the area, that is happening, and that people see that there's a change in that area that is dynamic. That's going to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That there's going to be people there. There's going to be traffic there. It's going to be, I think, an added win-win for our community. So not just the jobs that were created there, but the new jobs that are going to be created by these businesses that are opening up in the area.
And not that I want to compare it to, so I'm not comparing it in this regards. You look at something like Detroit, who has the casinos sit there as well, and you have a little bit of a camaraderie of going back and forth to whatever. But I'm assuming you're seeing a far greater. Granted, they had a much harder economic impact than what we experienced. However, I don't think they've really bounced back enough. You're seeing this here. The bounce is already coming from their institution.
Absolutely. We're seeing it, and not only there, but other areas of our county. If you want to look down on the Banks project,
Which is
our next slide.
Which is coming up next, I was going to say.
Yeah, we've gotten phase one almost completed. I mean, there's still stuff we need to do.
Sure.
But the retail is at 90-some%. Our apartments are 100% leased to date. And
Which is a surprising one to me, because I thought that was going to be the hardest sell. The residential was going to be the hardest.
I was too initially, but there's a waiting list for it, and we're looking to add more apartments down there. And there's other apartments going online throughout the downtown area. There's a market for empty nesters, for young professionals who want to be downtown. There's a vibrancy down there now that wasn't there 15 years ago. And I think it's great from some of the decisions of the Fountain Square, the Banks project, to the casino. I mean, that's now all starting to kind of click. And even the work up and over the Rhine with the Washington Park renovation and Findlay Market and trying to connect all this, I think it's finally coming through. It's taken some time, but I think you're actually starting to see it starting to benefit.
So you're saying at least the retail space is at 91% leased. That's surprising to me as well. I'm happy to see that. People actually waited long enough to finally come in, which was one of my fears and one of my discussion points that I've said all along. The project took a long time to happen, and for many reasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons.
For a lot of reasons. We don't have enough time to talk about it.
We don't.
But we finally got it done. We finally got it started. Once it started to happen, things started to roll. I still question, did we wait too long? Are people going to come? Now you're saying phase one is...
Yeah, we still have a few things to do in phase one, but compared to where we were 10 years ago, where it was a mud pit, we've come a long way. And actually, people are utilizing it. They're living there. Businesses are coming there. It's something that's an attraction. I think the Riverfront Park that the Cincinnati Parks are putting in is another huge attraction that is also going to bring us more people coming downtown. And then you got the 2015 All-Star Game coming here at the Red Stadium. I mean, that's a big accomplishment for our region, and it's going to drive more people coming in. It's not just for one day, but it's actually for a week.
Sure.
So you're going to have a lot of folks coming in and seeing the Banks project, and we're trying to move forward with phase two, which is the portion between the Freedom Center and Paul Brown Stadium, and developing that. We've actually got a parking garage already open in phase two, but we're looking to try and build on top of that. More apartments.
Are we looking more apartments? Are we looking more retail?
I think it's they're trying to do that mix right now. The developers of saying there's going to be some apartments, there's going to be some, office potentially, and also retail, and it's just trying to come up with that exact amount in this market of how to do it when. But we're already working on it, which is good.
I have to say, one of the things that is really appealing, and to many people who have come to visit me and we've gone down, is that they do enjoy the park area, the new water features, the concrete work. Everything looks great from what I consider from the Muller Line garden area all the way down to the parking garage is just a gorgeous space to sit. You can sit and play Frisbee. I've seen people play, just games, enjoy their company, wait for a Reds game, what have you. I'm hoping that this energy doesn't die. That's what I'm hoping.
And I don't think it will. Willie Carden, the director of Cincinnati Parks, has done a tremendous job of developing that riverfront park concept and what it's going to do to bring folks down there, as you said, that can either just wait before Reds game or even after Reds game and relax and enjoy just the river. I mean, we're kind of reconnecting our downtown to the river, which is what brought us here to begin with. Is that riverboat traffic and the effects that it had on our community. We're actually reconnecting that to our past, which is a good thing, because I think it's exciting and brings more people to the region and say, just how beautiful it is downtown.
I can only look for great things. So I'm hoping that with phase 2 and in the completion of the banks at some point, that we'll have a great area that we already have that we'll build upon.
Correct. I agree.
Of course, with building, you can't have one without the other. There is some demolition going on, and that's only with condemned properties, which is, some may say, it's about time. You hear the Moving Ohio Forward programs and things like this. You're looking at doing some land reutilization.
Correct. Yeah, we actually got legislation passed through this state House and Senate that created for us a land bank in Hamilton County, which is a huge asset for our communities, and be able to take over some of these properties that have been abandoned and do something with them. You hear time and time again of neighbors complaining about abandoned building next door, the high weeds, the criminal activity that might be going on there. That causes taxpayer money to be spent on services to that building, either police services, sheriff services, health inspectors, or just going after it from a standpoint of just an eyesore within the community. So this now gives us opportunities to go out and demolish those sites, look at either giving them back to their neighbors, splitting lots so they get a bigger lot size, or turning them into community green space, as we talked about earlier, or getting a bunch of them together and seeing if a developer would be interested to come in and maybe put a business in there or put a new housing development in there that would be beneficial to the community. So this has been a great asset to Hamilton County. It just came on board last year. We just got funding from the Attorney General's office of about $11 million that we're helping to kickstart this off for us. And just this year alone, we're going to demolish over 169 buildings in Hamilton County.
And that's pretty impressive. That's a lot to really think about. And again, you're not looking at it just to do it. There's purpose behind it. And I like the idea of either giving it back to the neighborhood as opposed to, well, they're just going to tear it down and put another building in.
Right.
That's a possibility. But then again, you're either helping the neighborhood by letting other people have a larger neighborhood, or a green space that can become a park type area. Or if it so happens that somebody buys the lot and develops it, it may revitalize that neighborhood in one form or another.
Right. It's the broken windows theory that you hear all about. It takes one broken window in a house on a street, then all of a sudden there's more, and decay brings in, and blight moves in, and the values of the houses on the street decrease. So if you remove that blight, if you demolish it and make it just a green space, that ups the values of those houses that are on that street. And being able to add to somebody's yard or to put a public space in there just increases the value of that neighborhood.
Sure. Now, are you looking at specific neighborhoods, or are you doing a major sweep of the county, or how do you go about it?
We're focusing on those areas that were hardest hit due to the housing crisis in those communities that we want to focus on. So there's some neighborhoods within the city of Cincinnati, and there's some communities within Hamilton County, because this land bank is a joint between the city and Hamilton County. So we're trying to focus on those hardest hit areas and work with them first. And so we have a first group, and then we have a second group that will take place, after we kind of keep the program moving on. So those are, I think, beneficial ones.
As I was saying earlier, our husband and wife team, Lynn and Marlene Brown, joining us this evening. Again, why it's so special is because they're actually working the show with me tonight. And Marlene had to take care of the audio here, and Lynn's always behind that camera, behind camera 3 with me all the time. So Thank you for joining us at the round table. It's a different little scenario compared to
very
what goes
different.
on. Of course, you've been with us for a number of years. We
Long
won't give numbers. We don't do that here. It's like you never tell age and you never say things like that. However, you've been with us for a number of years. And of course, the major question is why? What makes you come, or what made you first volunteer for us? And what's made you stay?
Well, first, in my case, was because I teach Tai Chi and sort of got talked into by a friend to check with you guys because she told me there was such a program, and I checked with you, and all of you helped me really, to get a program set up. And so we did a program, and they showed it on TV, and then after that, I felt kind of responsible because you guys were so good to us. You really got great training for everything, and so I felt responsible to help, and it kind of grows on you. Because, everybody, like I said, is really nice, and I've learned a lot. So when you get older, it's kind of nice to get your brain working, and you have a choice, actually, to do all kinds of things here.
Sure.
Not only, you start with the camera, and I stuck with it a long time, and now do, the soundboard, and so it's kind of nice to learn new things, but also, if you don't want to direct or whatever, you don't have to. So to me, this is ideal, and you meet a lot of nice new people, a lot of young people, and so, it keeps you young. So this is kind of my reason why I started, and continue as long as I can, probably.
One of the nice things to see the two of you is, of course, the two of you work together. Not only do you go home and have to hash out the day-to-day routine, but you also come and volunteer as a family and a team. Do you find that to be a strong bond for the two of you? Because I know, Lynn, you love doing the camera out there, and of course Marlene is on the other end. But
yeah, I think so. We kind of agree on what we're going to do, and we always work together, and look at the book and sign up for things that interest us. I retired over 20 years ago, and if I hadn't had something like this to do, I'd be sitting in a rocking chair going brain dead. This keeps you alive and gives you purpose, and people appreciate what you do. So it's a way of existing and carrying out the time that you have left and enjoying yourself, and also giving back something to your community.
And that's what I see you guys doing a lot of. I mean, you've come and helped me out. You've bailed me out, I should really say, many times. But you've also been there for a number of things. We see your smiling faces at concerts, because I know you both like doing those as well. So there's the variety. I think that's what you had brought up.
Yeah, that's what. It's not boring. Never boring.
And as you said, you started.
And I would like to say one more thing.
Absolutely.
We have seen you grow a lot.
Grow up or grow old.
So you have gone really from interviewing and stuff. It's kind of nice to see the younger people grow with what they're doing, and we've seen a big growth in you.
The check can be made out too. I'll pay. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's a very wonderful compliment. And then thank you for letting people know that it is not only a growing experience for us here who work here, but it's also a growing experience for you as well.
Oh yeah.
Again, you've seen many things grow, not just beside the gray hairs that come in over here, but the number of things that have come and go throughout the years here at Waycross. What do you? One last question before I venture you back to your posts here. What do you foresee in volunteering in the future? Because I'm sure you're not stopping now. I mean, you probably would have done that a while ago if that would have been your satisfying mark.
If I would have gotten bored, I would have. We both of us probably would have quit a long time ago. But I think we also see a lot of work you guys do, and your crew has sort of. I'm not sure I'm supposed to say that, but I'm going to say it. Has there's not that many people anymore that get paid.
No.
And so we really do. You really depend on volunteers, and I think it's a nice thing that we get a chance to do that. And I think I appreciate it. That the learning I have done, and it's been kind of again, we've seen some kids little, and they grow like there, and it's interesting the things that they were, because they grown. So the camera is like, I don't want to do that anymore, and you let them. You let them grow and you let them do other things. And so this to me, and I will, as long as we can, we will volunteer.
And I think that's the same thing I can say for you. I've watched you grow as well. I've watched you from doing things that we're going to stay together, we're going to stick together, and we're going to be at one camera and that's it, and to being where you are today. Like I said, Lynn is at my camera over here, and Marlene's in the studio just going up a whiz on that brand new audio board. So I have to say once again, it's a joy to have you here as always, and I think I say that, but I don't know if I say it enough. I want to say thank you as well. Thank you for taking the time, of course, to say something here, and we look forward to having you aboard everything else. Yes, you can move on. So again, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
As you can see, we do a lot of things here at Waycross. A lot of us say, you know, we start from the very young to the very young at heart. So you can get a wide variety here at Waycross. Now, I have a chance to speak with some people here who are seasoned. I won't say senior, I will say seasoned. They're veterans of our great work here. But of course, I'm very fortunate to have tonight someone who is, I'm talking brand spanking new. He's being certified tonight, and I'll go through a little bit of what goes on there. But I do have Mike Washington joining us tonight as well. Mike, come on and sit down here. It's okay. Applaud for yourself.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Of course, we haven't really introduced one another, but as you know, as you've seen, I'm Jason. And of course, nice meeting you, Mike. Hopefully, we'll see more of you.
Yes, indeed.
Of course, like I said, Mike is joining us as not only because he's certifying for studio, which is perfect setting here because we're doing our live studio shoot here, but he also wants to get a little bit of volunteerism in here. So, Mike, what made you hunt out or look for Waycross Community Media?
Well, I mean, I was going over to Anderson Community Media.
Okay.
I was going there for a little while for this group called Toastmasters International.
Yes.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of that.
So
yes.
The thing is, I live in Colerain Township, and the trip.
Brand new member.
That's
here.
right, fresh and green. So yeah, the trip, the commute over to our Anderson Community Media, it is so far, man. I think I end up driving maybe 30 minutes, and that's a long trip. So the convenience is I started shopping around a little bit, and I came across this place, and plus it was recommended to me to come to Waycross Media, so I got real excited about it because I live only, 10 minutes away, and it's en route for me getting off from work. So hey,
perfect.
You're right. It was perfect.
Well, I'm glad that you did make the decision. I mean, again,
Right.
Colerain is one of our newest communities here. Of course, for those who aren't aware of, as we saw in County Fair, all the places that we do touch. However, the places that we do service are Forest Park, Green Hills, Colerain Township, and a little bit of Springfield Township. So, if you are one of those members, come in, give us a call. We'd love to have you aboard, just like we have Mike here.
That's right.
So, Mike, you said, Colerain Township, brand new member here.
Yes, indeed.
Obviously you've taken the studio class, so you have something in mind.
I sure do.
Not just that desire to learn, but there's
That's right.
something else going on in there. What's going on, or can we spill some beans here?
Yeah, absolutely. I am thirsty for learning some new things here.
Excellent.
So I'm real excited about it. And once again, I do have an idea, and it's been pondering me, and I decided, hey, maybe I ought to take a step forward. And what I need to do first is learn more about the equipment, learn more about the staff, see if I can get some help, build some relationship with you guys. And,
Sure.
Bottom line, what I'm excited about, is a way to inspire people. I mean, we work hard. Some of the young people don't have jobs yet, but
Well, let them have their time.
That's right.
Sure.
So even myself, I'm 20 plus 20, so I'm still in my prime.
Hey, you've got some good time in
That's
with you.
right.
That's
That's
okay.
right.
So a show is in the works up in here
Absolutely.
for a while.
That's right.
Obviously, you could have done it, as most people will say, I could have done this at home. I mean,
Right.
and a lot of people probably look and say, well, that's easy, I can do this at home.
Sure.
Answer me that question. Would it be that easy to do it at home? Or, not that we're tooting our own horn, but is
Right.
it easier, or the help with Waycross to be able to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I was at home, I would just have a Polaroid camera. I use my cell phone.
Sure.
It's just not the same, But more importantly, as you were saying, you have the cameras here, you have the studio, you have the arrangement with the microphones, you have the staff who are experienced with using the equipment and setting up the microphones, and encourage you on what you can do to make it better and improve your skills. So this is a perfect arrangement. It's close, it has all the resources, and I live in the community, so what better fit for me,
Well, of course, as most of you may know, and those who are joining us tonight may not know, a lot of the things that go on here are done by our volunteers, as well as producers like Mike here shortly. But as we know, you have to learn how to do these things. Mike has actually finished within the last 2 weeks
Absolutely.
the studio production class, which is a one-day studio class here to learn everything we've got here.
Absolutely. I've been excited about it.
Your experience with this, it is a one-day class. It's an extensive class. It's all
Absolutely.
day.
Absolutely.
So we don't starve you for lunch. We do give you a little lunch break
That's
there.
right. I appreciate that.
But it is an all-day experience,
Sure,
really.
Sure it is. A lot of information, you know.
Do you feel that there was enough time? Do you feel that it satisfied that appetite so that you could go to that next step? Or
Yeah, it's getting there. You know, I'm signing up for more classes. I'm gradually trying to get more learnings, you know, from yourself. My gosh, what's his name? Tony. Yeah, he's been helping me out, so I really appreciate that. Brett, he's been very helpful as well. So the more staff I meet, the more knowledge I'll get, the more time I put into it, the more I'm gonna learn. So I'm really excited about it. I think that's what's key, you know, the idea that I have and, you know, being excited about trying to do something that's gonna make people smile or laugh or chuckle a little bit, you know.
that's the best way to put it. And, of course, you know, and what better way to be able to share that with somebody but with your own community.
Absolutely.
And that's what we aim to do here. So not only do you have the opportunity to share, as you're saying here, with the community, the three communities we service,
Absolutely.
but you're also going on the internet as well. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, YouTube, that's been a pretty popular thing now, but before you can get that footage on YouTube, I think this type of setting is perfect. You know, you can check it out before you download it onto YouTube. I'm not even sure if that's something I want to do, but
Sure.
It's something to consider. But in the meantime, you know, the internet, it has grown over years. It's become a big social network for people to get involved with. But you know, right now I'm just really excited about these cameras and all the equipment and the training and all the other things that's coming with me being here. So.
And again, as a 2-week plus newbie here at Waycross, what's before I let you get back to your camera so you can
That's
get
right,
back
man.
to the things at hand.
Yeah, because we are bonded. That camera is calling.
I know it's calling you. I know, and that's a good thing. What would you tell somebody who may be watching tonight and says, you know, I would love to be a part of this. I don't know if it's for me, but it is a calling that
Yes.
I do have. What would you tell that individual who's sitting there now that may want to take that next step?
Well, I would encourage you, if you have an idea and you want to expand on it, consider coming to this organization. You know, take one step at a time. Learn one piece of equipment at a time. Learn one switch at a time, and see what happens. And the more that you'll learn, the more excited you'll get about it. Like myself, I'm real excited every time I learn one piece of equipment or one switch. You know, it gets me more exciting. It gets me closer to what I really want to do. So having an idea, first of all, and stepping out here, talking with some of the people, meeting some of the people, going through the classes, and it basically takes one step at a time, just like being in school. You go from one class to the next, from one book to the next, from one paper to the next. So it takes steps with anything, setting a goal, putting an action plan in place, and that's what I feel like I'm doing right now. So my ideas are just running around in my brain, and I just want to plug it into all of these equipment and all of this training and see what happens, you know.
Well, I'm glad to hear a lot of enthusiasm, and we're looking forward to seeing great
Yes.
things from you. So welcome aboard,
Hey, thanks a lot.
and I'm going to let you get back to your
All right.
camera
Thanks
because
a
I
lot.
know it's calling you. Wouldn't something to this effect help alleviate a few things as well as expedite quite a bit of the process? Because, you know, thinking back on many plans, you know, it has to be this many weeks and this, that. Now that you've got, as you're saying, downloading all this information right there, as they're coming out to do an inspection, you know, you can make a phone call and say, I finished my post. I'm using a deck as an example. Posts need to be dug. They need to be at a certain depth, certain height. Now they're coming out. They're able to issue that and do the stamp already on the iPad or whichever device, tablet they're using.
It's something which we're just, you know, trying to streamline our processes. So from that standpoint, you know, whether it's now being able to devise a new deck permitting system, which we're in the process of doing very shortly, we should have some. It wasn't rocket science, you know, from that standpoint. You know, what's your load calculator? What are you using here? What type of post? So from that standpoint, it sort of guides you into what you will be using, as opposed to, you know, some residents can draw up their own plans. An architect's not required to do a residential plan.
That's why, and that's good
So-
for people to know.
But people do it by themselves, but we have certain parameters. From this standpoint, you've kind of got a guide. You know, we'll have a new application that people can go through, and it's very streamlined. And the idea is to get people through our system, as quickly as possible. Look for ways that we can do that. And whether it's a digital submission from that standpoint to a revised application, one which at this point we can do an administrative approval on, as opposed to having to go back to a plans examiner and be taken in line. It can now be issued at the counter if we've got new processes which are implemented. So we're looking at those. It's as you know, it's the basic principle: time is money.
Absolutely.
All right? Our customers, time every day that person waits is money. Well, the other side of it, I look at it is to say, every day is a lost revenue opportunity for the county. When we need revenue, when we need tax dollars and so forth, if we've got a multi-million-dollar building we're ready to open up and so forth, opening up a week or two early, from that standpoint, can generate additional revenues and so forth. And it's just like, it's just a kind of a no-brainer. We'll still have, we'll increase our level of expertise at the same point. And we're working on all the training opportunities and so forth, again, so that we can help expedite that. There's many variables that go into customer or process improvements, and you've got to look at those different sides. So we're looking at every different angle, whether it's by communication, process expediting those things, additional training for our people, anything that we can do to facilitate, a better experience and a quicker experience through our process. We're also looking at other things. Again, I mentioned the satellite office. We're looking at doing an interior tenant finish. So let's take the Kenwood Mall.
Okay.
You're a
They're working
customer.
on their
Exactly.
their renovation right now.
Yep. Kudos to them. They are doing a great job out there. 100%. I should say vacancy. It's they're full up. 100%.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've seen too many closed doors in that facility,
No.
and that's unusual in this day and
It
age.
is great. I mean, I think there was an article a few weeks ago just kind of, showing how well that they were doing it in comparison to other places. We've had a bit of a resurgence elsewhere in Northgate Mall as well, which has been great.
Absolutely.
But interior finishes, ones which, don't involve any exterior approvals or conditions. They're not doing any exterior sewer. They're just finishing out a new facility. Maybe it's going from X to Y store, from that standpoint. Maybe one's moved, whatever. The idea is that to do an expedited process or expedited review is the only people that we'd have to deal with in that situation would be building approval, and of course we've got zoning ahead of that, and fire. So fire and building would communicate. The townships do most of their own fire. There's a township in Columbia that has 3 separate fire departments. They don't have their own fire department. They contract. But most of the time we're dealing with township fire department. So it's coordinating with them. But in essence, it's something that we can do fairly quickly. So we're looking at opportunities to do expedited plan review from that standpoint. And we're looking at doing, similarly to smaller permits to say, if you come into our office and in a limited scope to say, we have the opportunity to do a same-day review for these types of permits. If you can get down here and submit them by 9, we can get them done by 3. From that standpoint. It's only a first come, first served basis.
Sure.
These are different opportunities. We know there are customers out there, from that standpoint, who have needs and their demands. So, we're trying to be flexible from that standpoint, to offer these opportunities. I mean, we can't open the Pandora's box and say, oh, come on down, we can review everything.
Everybody come on, yeah, it's like a fire sale all of a sudden.
Exactly. And that, just the other things are looking at, again, transparency. We're trying to let our customers know, here's where we're currently at. Charlotte-Mecklenburg County has a great system online, which is essentially allows you to peek behind the curtains and say, this is how busy we are. This is how many days we are out currently. you know. So they also allow you to schedule your plan review and sit down with your plan reviewer. So they have some different options out there. We're looking at those various things, but what I want to take, and we have a new website online I'd like to talk about in
And
a
we'll
second.
talk about that here in a second, yeah.
So, you know, to be able to put on the website to say, look, before you even leave or submit your permit, you know how busy we are, what our expected time frames are. So we're compiling the data to find out from that standpoint, if we have 50 plans in the queue, how long it's going to take based upon our current capacity. You know, likewise to say, if, you know, this will be, if, you know, now we're down at 5 plans, and from that standpoint, you can get through from that standpoint. So it's something which I think is needed. We just have a board down there currently letting people know, hey, this is how many days out, we're reviewing this plan, and this is how long it's currently taking, and we're just doing a little tracking information until we can get things posted on the website, you know, and we just trying to find the right fit, you know, for that. But the idea is, again, you know, it's fully transparent. So every customer knows what to expect before coming down or submitting. You know, it's like, okay, this is what time it's going to take. But when it gets into, when you're out there, when you go into a shop, going to buy something, and you're, okay, it's usually going to take how long? Well, I don't know. It's, you know, this amount of time and so forth. We'd like to get some consistency built in for our customer, you know, to say, all right, well, you know, we can't control what comes in our door, but as best as possible, we like to help them out, you know, to say these are the bits of information. When it gets down to a commercial standpoint, you know, the architects and engineers basically know what they should be submitting. They don't generally always have it, you know, from that standpoint. But ones that are due, you know, we're able to get them through on the first you know, review. But revisions isn't necessary. It happens quite often. You have a large project, lots of moving systems and so forth, and you've got a structural engineer, a mechanical engineer, and an architect all trying to coordinate, a fire alarm person. So those things, sometimes, you know, this guy's working on this and plans are submitted and they don't agree with each other. So a lot of times we run into that. So again, it's not that anybody doesn't know what they're doing. It's the fact that, you know, sometimes they're a little uncoordinated. So we're able to help them, you know, our customers, and usually they're very happy that we're able to find things and so forth. And that's what we're, you know, again, that's a service that we provide. We've got the technical experience and know-how to be able to help them get through our system, you know, our process quicker. You know, things we can't control are again, the types of plans which come in, the information that's in there, and of course how long when we give information back to somebody, you know, how long that they can take to do that. And that's something which I don't have any control for. But I'm really looking to say, hey, how can we communicate? If we haven't heard from somebody in 2 weeks, is there a problem? You know, can we track that down to say, hey, did you get the information? You know, things like that. That's the additional communication that I'm trying to bring, you know, to our department to say, hey, you know, we need to do some more follow-up. We need to do some tracking, you know, from that standpoint to say, you know what, you might get an email when something is, you know, you haven't heard back from somebody in 3 weeks. Hey, maybe we ought to just give them a call. And from that standpoint, oh, you sent that to our old address, we moved. You know, things like that occur, you know, we can help our customers.